What is going on? You are checking out an all-new The RCWR Show, covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond. A very sick Lee Sanders here. I do apologize for the voice right now. Normally, and I really do apologize to those of you that may be new checking this out, I normally do not sound like this, although some of you may think this may be a dramatic improvement. We'll see, but no, I am a little bit under the weather. I am sick this week. I was feeling really bad earlier today. I actually woke up in cold chills and extremely cold. And I wasn't able to go to work, so I stayed under the covers all day today. Had some NyQuil, pretty much out of it. So cold I actually had a electric blanket running. Yeah, that's how cold I was. So I'm feeling better than I was earlier today. Should I really be doing a show right now? No, I shouldn't, but I feel as though I have just enough energy where I can definitely talk about some of the things we saw tonight on AEW and NXT. This is actually one of my favorite shows that I look forward to the most during the whole week for all of the shows that we pump out for you guys on a weekly basis. So if you need me to speak up a little bit louder, let me know, and what I can do, I can adjust my main volume here as it might help. So, two interesting shows tonight from AEW and NXT. One of the main things I was looking for, and I actually had tweeted this out way before the shows even came on, I said, for AEW, I am looking for that extra incentive from a fan perspective on why they should be checking out AEW this weekend, because they're doing their Full Gear pay-per-view events. Not to mention they're also doing Starcast 4 out in Baltimore, which by the way, did you guys know, those of you that maybe are thinking about going to Starcast, as far as those meet and greets go, right now, I don't know for how long, but right now, you can go get your meet and greets at Starcast for up to 50% off. You heard me right, up to 50% off. And one of the things, I didn't even know they got him in there. Sting is apparently supposed to be part of Starcast weekend. I had no idea about that whatsoever. Now, I saw Sting just by himself at AwesomeCon earlier this year out in DC, and it was a great experience. We actually took part in his autograph signing, we took part in his photo op, we took part in his Q&A panel. All of it was just fantastic. And if you actually had missed out on that Q&A coverage, I'll post a link somewhere in post-production, you guys be able to check it out. But we did make it a standalone. It's on YouTube, and I think it was also part of our AwesomeCon coverage for this year, dubbed the AwesomeCon, return or something like that. You guys can easily find it. But what makes Sting coming to the Starcast most interesting is that he's bringing back red, white, and blue Sting. And shout out to Justin Ripstock. I was joking around with him earlier today, and I said, there's no way in hell he's going to be doing red, white, and blue Sting. And Justin was like, no, Lee, dog, Conrad's been promoting this for I don't know how long now. He's guaranteeing Sting is going to be showing up in the red, white, and blue. So, no. He's got a rep to uphold here. He's promoting red, white, and blue Sting. I'm going, wow. So how exactly is that going to go down? Is Sting maybe going to show up in a blonde mohawk or something like that? Is he going to do that? Or is he going to be in his trademark hair that we've been seeing all these years? What exactly is going to be the red, white, and blue Sting? I'm most curious. So I would go to Starcast, but I'm trying to gear up for Thanksgiving and some other stuff. But yeah, go on to the Starcast website. And like I said, you can get up to 50% off on all of the meet and greets that they got going on over there right now. So, but if you ask me straight up, Lee, if you were to go to Starcast, who's jumping out at you that you would maybe want to do a photo op, autograph session with or whatever? The names that jump out to me off the break, Ron Simmons, definitely Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I would also like to, I don't really care for the photo op. I would more so rather just want to talk to him. Jim Crockett. I would just love to talk to Jim Crockett. Another person, I kind of got to put Sting on that list. just because I want to have the photo op with him in this red, white, and blue, because I'm most curious. So if you're going to be going to Starcast and you're doing the Sting package, please get at me on social media with your pics and let me see how Sting is looking in that gear. I would much appreciate that. But also Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff's supposed to be out there as well. So he's another one as far as meet and greets. I would definitely take part of that. Definitely in a heartbeat. I would love to take part of that. So we had multiple segments tonight. You know how we've been doing it on this show here the past couple of weeks. Let's get right into it here. All right, because on top of talking about AEW and NXT tonight, I also want to talk about, for the first time ever, the MLW Super Fight card that came about this weekend. I also want to talk about the first 2 episodes of Impact Wrestling on Access TV now that it's in the books, right? So we'll get into all that a little bit later. So NXT tonight, in case you missed it on Twitter, right before they went live on the air, there was actually a segment that they shared on social media that involved the Undisputed Era. And they were talking a big hot game, talking about how they owned Raw and SmackDown last week going into this week, ready for these guys to bring the war to them. You know, they're not going anywhere. They know exactly where to find them. And right before their feed was over, we actually saw them get attacked by the OCs, AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows. So you're going, oh, so this is the tone that we're setting tonight. And it ties back into what I had said earlier, which was, okay, what I'm looking for tonight from both of these shows. From the AEW side, I'm looking for convince me and the other fans why we should spend $50 for this AEW pay-per-view that honestly doesn't really feel as though we have to drop that 50. But then over on the NXT side of things, okay, we're looking towards you all to really help further along the storyline about Raw, SmackDown, NXT, brand supremacy going into the Survivor Series pay-per-view in less than 3 weeks. These were the factors that I was looking for going into both of these respected shows tonight. So NXT opened up there with the OC, just fresh off of them beating the living hell out of the Undisputed Era. I said area, era, I wish. And AJ Styles soaking in all of that energy from the NXT crowd, and the crowd giving it right back to the OC. Happy to see all 3 of those guys. I think mainly, if you were to ask every single fan what they were most excited about tonight with that opener to NXT, was that they got to see AJ Styles in an NXT ring. That's the one thing I think anybody would probably say stood out to them the most. I'm sure you got your hardcore Anderson, Gallows fans, but I guarantee you a majority of that love was really just about AJ Styles is here on NXT. This is so freaking surreal. So AJ Styles just kicking back, enjoying, marveling in just the idea that here he is on NXT, right? Hearing about all the great talents that's here and everything. And he's like, okay, well, hey, the main event guys are here. You know, we've heard so much about NXT. What's up? And you leave it to Tommaso Ciampa to come out and welcome the OC. And as soon as Tommaso Ciampa's out there, you're instantly going, man, Tommaso, AJ Styles one-on-one. What a freaking matchup that would be. That's actually something I've kind of played around with off and on over the years, long before these guys even came into the WWE. So to see Tommaso Ciampa come out there and say, hey, what you did to the Undisputed Era, I honestly don't care about that. There's plenty of guys that want to kick their asses. I love that whole spiel, but the whole, you guys in the ring, taking up our ring hostage like that, no. For, you know, we gonna have to throw it down if you're gonna roll like that. At which AJ pointed out, well, there's only one of you. Which promptly, I might add, just all of a sudden we see Keith Lee and bro Matt Riddle come on out there. I love the way that WWE have been booking Keith Lee and Matt Riddle. I really love the way that they've been booking them. The consistency that's there, I've really been enjoying that. And it's obvious. You could look at it over from the other shows so far since the Invasion has come about. they definitely have that connection with the WWE crowd, like overall. Like, majority of the fans know exactly who these guys are and everything. So I like that you got that continuation and everything. So what we saw tonight in that opener was basically a pretense for what was to come in the main event match, as it was going to be all three members of the OC taking on Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, and Tommaso Ciampa, right? So that was pretty much your first segment right there, your opening segment for NXT. Meanwhile, over on AEW, they opened up with a couple of graphics as far as some of the key matches that was going to be going down in Full Gear. And don't worry, I'll definitely be offering my picks on who I think is going to be walking out of Full Gear this weekend. But after they went through some of the graphics for matches happening at Full Gear, matches you were going to be seeing tonight on Dynamite, we saw Trent Beretta take on Pac. This was a hellacious encounter. I gotta tell you, a hellacious encounter. I love this one. Both of these guys really bringing the energy, really bringing the enthusiasm for all of the ways to open up your AEW. I was a little bit concerned with AEW because as I'm seeing AJ Styles, Gallows, and Anderson opening things up, I couldn't help but look over at Dynamite. I'm seeing they're still going through the graphics and everything. Come on. It's like we got AJ Styles and them in the ring. Come on, counter this ASAP already. Let's go. And they went through the full entrances for Pac and Beretta. I just felt that timing was of the essence. Just go right into your show. And I think, look, I hope that one of these shows or both shows going forward, what I would like to see cool really go down is, I get it. You want to go through your nice, pretty entrance. Maybe you want to do your recap and everything. I get that. But when you are live, right, those first 5 minutes, you're really trying to do your best to set the tone. Skip the formalities. Just jump right into the in-ring action. If you're getting ready to set up something in the ring and you got to talk for a hot minute, I am down with that. Go with your intro graphic package. Go with that, like, as you get ready to maybe go to a commercial break or something like that. We've seen it happen with some of our all-time favorite shows. Like, for me personally, if you ask me what's a good example of what I'm talking about, anybody remember the Dick Wolf show, New York Undercover, that was on Fox? Remember how, like, the first 5 minutes or whatever, the way they would set the tone for the story that was going to develop throughout that 1 hour, they would have some song playing in the background, and you would see some type of whatever activities that was going on, and you're kind of wondering, okay, how is this going to tie into the New York Undercover cops? Like, how is it going to tie into them and them getting a hold of this case or whatever? And then, like, after those 5 minutes are up, once they've set it all up and everything, you're like, oh, hook, line, sinker. I definitely got to stick around for this. Boom. Then you go into your damn intro. You got your credits and all that. And that's pretty much it. I wouldn't mind it. I don't think most fans would mind that either if sometimes you just kind of did that. I don't care if both shows were to do that, but somebody, between the two of them, somebody needs to kind of, just to try to get that one up, needs to start implementing that on a more regular basis. But nonetheless, despite the long intros there, the graphics and everything from AEW's end, that match between Pac and Trent Beretta, that, oh my God, I love that. That was a great freaking matchup. Pac coming out of there with the victory, winning with a modified crossface too, man. I mean, my God, he put some respect on that damn finisher, by the way. Also, after we got done with the OC opener there with Tommaso Ciampa, our first matchup of the evening for NXT, we saw Damien Priest take on Pete Dunne. Man, I am falling more and more and more in love with the man formerly known as, what is it? Oh God, no. I can't think of his name right now. I'm drawing a blank. That's what happens when you're sick. I'm drawing a damn blank right now. Punishment Martinez. AKA Damien Priest. Now, I'm really loving this dude. I am. I'm looking at him, and I think I said this a couple of weeks ago. He reminds me so much about potentially where Baron Corbin should be. I know that sounds kind of weird for me to say, because when I say that, some of you guys will say, well, Lee, I'm not really sure what the fuck you're talking about, because Baron Corbin was there. Like, what do you mean exactly? You saw early on when you were first introduced to Baron Corbin on NXT, yeah, this guy's got a lot of potential. He's got some type of bravado to him. You could definitely see him being a bona fide superstar once he puts it all together. Oh, okay, yeah, I see that. I see. You could also see how green he was behind the ears. You could also see some of the things that he was lacking in, but he could potentially get in due time. That's what I mean when I look at a guy like Damien Priest. I know he's been tearing it up on the independents for a good couple of years now and everything, but when I'm looking at this guy, I just overall I like his look. I like his presentation, the charisma. I like everything about this guy. It's a great fucking package. When it's all said and done, just presentation wise, it's a great fucking package, and what he's able to do in that ring, love that equally as more his match there. Against my man Pete Dunn. I mean, these two sluggerfest, just straight up through and through. Just nothing but a freaking sluggerfest. Loved it between these two guys. Priest getting right down and dirty towards the final moments of this matchup, looking for by any means necessary to pick up the W, whether that meant hook or by crook. He tried to pull a crook, but did not happen for him and this go round. And I love the color commentating too from Mauro, Ranallo and them. Mauro Ranallo surprisingly had caught a little bit of heat from some people on social media. Some people felt that as far as his commentating goes, he doesn't need to make every single match have that super fight feel. A lot of people felt that he's yelling way too much, and he's a good commentator and all, but that he's screaming way too much and everything. And I think in order to really understand Mauro Ranallo and where he's coming from and everything, you would have had to have watched that documentary special that was done on him. It feels like it was done earlier this year, if not late last year. It almost, if you were to tell me it was last year, I'd say to you, wow, how time flies. But it feels as though that documentary they did on him was earlier this year. I think once you watch something like that, you have more understanding of him and what he's about. What you're really hearing overall in a nutshell is just the passion and love he has for the business. That's what you're really hearing. And I honestly would not want to change that, especially knowing just the journey that he's been on and continues to be on mentally. The last thing I'm going to do is tell Mauro to switch it up and all that. No, as far as I'm concerned, that's what Beth Phoenix is for. That's what freaking Nigel McGuinness is for. Let them continue to be that serious, monotone, and they execute it well. I'm not dissing them in any type of way. We know what we can expect from Mauro. He always lives up to it. I don't think Mauro is an issue whatsoever. If anything, Beth and McGuinness need to step their game up, and to their credit, they've actually been doing a really good job and stepping up. They've been flowing very well. I gotta say, as far as NXT announced teams from over the years, for me personally, this is the best incarnation to date. For me personally. All right, so segment 2. We had the Pete Dunne, Damien Priest match that had continued on, and it also concluded in that second block there. But post-match, Killian Dane, remember, he's been having some unresolved issues there with Damien Priest for a couple of weeks now. Two of those guys, they got into it again, so you'd like to believe that this is going to be squashed coming up at War Games, give or take. We'll have to wait and see how that's going to be coming about. Meanwhile, over on AEW, Cody had came out. Remember, Cody Rhodes had been teasing some type of a announcement for the past couple of weeks, but each time he was getting ready to go into this announcement, he kept getting interrupted. So you're wondering, what exactly is this announcement going to be that he's going to be breaking, right? Well, finally, we got to hear what this announcement was, as he revealed that he's listened to some of the things that the fans have said about him since he's come into management power in AEW. And there have been those that have felt that with him being on the side of management, he really should not be booking himself in matches. He should not be booking himself in title matches and things of that nature. So he put a very interesting stipulation out there to the entire world and to Tony Schiavone, saying, if he does not defeat Chris Jericho at Full Gear for that AEW World Heavyweight Championship, he will not challenge for the title again. Now just marinate on that while I take a swig of some water here. And if you guys are joining us, I'm sounding hoarse right now because I'm down with a cold still. So I was feeling a lot worse earlier today, but I'm feeling remotely good enough just to do this broadcast. But I do want to try to be in and out as quick as possible. We'll see if we can try to have this be done in an hour, under an hour tops, because we still got more of AEW and NXT talk, MLW, Impact Wrestling, a couple other things, all right? Now that you guys have had a chance to marinate on this, right? Notice the key words that Cody had used right here, which was, if he loses to Chris Jericho, he will never challenge for the AEW championship again. We'll make sure we're stressing this now, not retire from in-ring competition in AEW, right? Make sure you really home in on that. So, if Cody were to somehow lose this Saturday, he would still be wrestling. He just would not be able to compete for the AEW championship, right? Just think about that a little bit more, and when we get into predictions, I'll offer some thoughts on a couple of directions they could possibly go with that one, okay? But yeah, that was his big announcement. And see, other than that, meanwhile, switching gears, your next segment block, NXT, they had Tanara take on the debuting. This was her first debut on NXT television. Oh my God, like who isn't a fan of this girl? I know I am, and as long as we've been doing this show, which, you know, we're slowly creeping up on 10 years, believe it or not. Yeah, we're about maybe 2 years off from 10 years doing our show. Santana Garrett made her debut on NXT. Very happy for her. I mean, of course, we remember her from many other promotions, whether you were watching Shine Wrestling. That's where I was properly first introduced to Santana, and I just instantly became a fan of hers. Rooted for her big time over in Impact Wrestling. I didn't like how they repackaged her over at Impact, and if I remember the story arc correctly, they had her as the love interest for Samuel Shaw, and Samuel Shaw was feuding with Gunner. And it was really weird how they had went about all of that. It really, really was. But as far as really properly utilizing Santana Garrett as the great in-ring performer that she is in Impact Wrestling, I think even the most hardcore Impact Wrestling fan knows their talents from other promotions would definitely be in agreement with me. How they booked Santana Garrett back then, yeah, it was a head scratcher. It was definitely a head scratcher, and she really didn't last that much longer afterwards in Impact when they were doing that whole story arc and everything. So I was actually pretty happy to see that story arc conclude. But yeah, she made her debut. She lost in this match tonight against Tanara, which kind of puzzled me a bit. I gotta admit, it did quite puzzle me a bit, because yeah, I would have thought for sure we would have gone on ahead and we would have had her pick up the W. Now, I'll have to rely on you guys to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there was a stipulation added to this match. Now, I could have heard it wrong. I've got notes in two different areas, but I could have sworn with regards to this matchup, basically whoever had won was going to be getting a spot in that all-women's war game joint, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but just in case, if there wasn't a stipulation to this and it was just all about making Tanara, look like a strong candidate going in the war games, maybe, and that's how I kind of had interpreted it, then it makes sense the way that they had did this. But I just kind of wish, with the cachet that Santana Garrett has already built over the years and everything, I kind of just wish that she would have been able to face somebody else and get a W over them, basically. Closing moments of this match. I mean, this match was about almost 5 minutes and some change, by the way. Closing moments of this matchup. We had saw Tanara very aggressive, multiple strikes, also was applying submission maneuvers on Garrett. Just fury of attempts to try to get this match over and done with. We also saw a handspring, back elbow in the corner, front flip forearm from Garrett. And it looked a little bit shaky there, but she hits the ropes with a handspring moonsault, misses, pump kick by Tanara, boom, wada boom, wada bang, bada bam, done. Tanara picking up the victory there. So it was a good match. Was happy to see my girl Santana Garrett. Like I said, been a fan of hers for many years, and I'm happy. I just wish that WWE would have given her the time and day years prior. I mean, for me, luckily she's still young, but I feel as though as long as I've been watching her, she should have been in the WWE about 5-7 years ago, give or take. She should have already been there, right? But hey, she's there now. That's great. There was a part of me that was really hoping we would get to see some type of a proper conclusion before the news even broke out about her joining WWE. I was hoping that coming up on this new season of WoW that we're already into, WoW Women of Wrestling, I was hoping that at some point we were going to see Santana Garrett surprisingly be thrown back into the mix. And because remember, everything ties back to her and, how she never did truly get her opportunity there with regards to that WoW championship, right? I won't go into the whole revisionist history because we really talk about that extensively on the WoW recap shows, but there's definitely some unfinished business for her character in the WoW universe, and it sucks that we don't get to see that proper conclusion now, but I'm happy she's in a better place. And as the color commentators had touched upon tonight, and they weren't adding that to just tell a freaking story. That shit that went down with her losing her dad earlier this year, that was real life. That was real legit shit. And one of the last appearances that her dad had made was actually on an episode of WoW. And kudos to him for being involved in a spot like that too, because Tessa Blanchard at one point went over and he had like some tubes going up his nose or whatever, and she just went over there and was squeezing the hell out of it, yanking him out and everything. It's like kudos to him for selling the hell out of that. But yeah, he had it kind of rough, but it was kind of weird when you think about it, because she loses her father and then like couple of weeks, maybe like about under 3 months later, she gets married to an awesome, cool looking dude. Seems like he's got his head on his shoulders and everything. And so you're like, wow, this is kind of cool how everything kind of comes full circle and everything. And you put icing on the cake with her finally being in WWE and everything. I expect big things to happen for Santana Garrett. I really, really do. And if you were to ask me straight up, Wooly, how far along do you see Santana Garrett going just under the WWE umbrella? I mean, she's 31, right? She's 31. So that's still relatively young. I know Triple H and them, they basically said they're not in a hurry to, shoot NXT talents up to the main roster in a haste. But with regards to somebody like her, honestly, let her enjoy NXT for a little bit. Let her travel and do those shows for the NXT brand. See how she adjusts and everything. But I expect she's gonna hit a home freaking run. She is somebody I am expecting within the next 3 years tops. I am expecting her on the main roster at some point. I mean, trust me when I say this. And if you guys don't know anything about Santana Garrett, you're definitely going to be learning a lot about her in the weeks to come. But there's so much stuff of hers on social media, YouTube, Daily Motion, that you can look up easily. Trust me when I say that she's going to be having some classic matchups by the time she does hit that main roster. Cats like freaking Becky Lynch, cats like Charlotte,
Cats like frickin' who's another one that jumps out at me right now? Natty, Lacey Evans. I mean, pick whoever you want to see Santana Garrett throw it down with. She's going to be able to deliver some pretty good matchups, especially if you bring, once she's 100% healed, Mickie James. And if you want to just go with that past affiliation and everything. I mean, I know they weren't an alliance or anything like that in Impact Wrestling, but you can still kind of I find it kind of interesting that when you did have Mickie and Santana Garrett under the same umbrella in Impact Wrestling, you never did have the two of them intertwined. So kind of weird how that had panned out. But you name any combination, you'll be able to go there with Santana. That's the bottom line. Also, going to AEW, we had Private Party. Private Party had took on and defeated the Dark Order. The winner of this matchup had got to face SCU for those tag team titles coming up at the Full Gear pay-per-view. So I'm actually happy for Private Party. What are the odds of that too when you really stop and think about that? You look at what SCU is all about. SCU is all about having good times. SCU is all about fun and games and everything. And then you've got Private Party, right? Private Party is the team that SCU is going to be facing. That's a very interesting dynamic right there. And especially from also this standpoint, Private Party, what are they right now? Okay, they're faces. Okay. What's SCU right now? You could kind of make the argument SCU is tweeners. You could also say that SCU are baby faces, but still, no matter how you look at it, it's kind of cool that you got both of these teams that's going to be locking it up at the Full Gear pay-per-view event. Also, going into our next segment block, segment 4, we had the AEW tag match that concluded. We told you about that. That was pretty much Private Party taking on Dark Order. But we also had a hilarious Chris Jericho spoofing segment. Chris Jericho had spoofed the hell out of Cody. And if you guys remember, there was a Cody segment that appeared about maybe 2 weeks ago, it feels like, where you had Diamond Dallas Page and Tony Schiavone and all of these other people that were just talking about Cody. Brandi was even in there as well. And they were just really, it was a good job, a well-produced piece putting over where Cody's mindset is and everything. And right down to when it first opened up, you had Cody sitting in his, somewhere in his home or whatever, living room or whatever. He's sitting on his sofa and Brandi's going over, I don't know, matching towels or some shit. And Cody's just like, yeah, okay, hon. Yeah, sure, whatever you want, whatever. And you're like, wow, that's well-produced. And like, it took me several seconds to figure out what was going on with this Jericho segment. And then I realized, holy shit, they're spoofing Cody, because you just see Sammy Guevara and he's going over different bubbly wine choices and everything. And I ate that shit. I just laughed instantly. And Sammy Guevara's like, what do you think, Jericho? And Jericho just gets up, okay, and kisses Guevara on the forehead. And you're like, oh no, he's spoofing the hell out of Cody. Okay, we're in for a hilarious freaking treat right here. And to just see them continue to spoof that Cody segment from 2 weeks ago, I ate this shit up. I liked how they panned out to freaking Jack Hager. And just when it was looking like Jack Hager was getting ready to say something pretty fucking important, Hager is just silent and cut, and they go to the next scene. That was just hilarious in itself. I love that. They did that to Jack Hager at least 3 times. It looked like he was getting ready to open his mouth, and they just cut him. I'm going, hey, that's good, because you're also kind of playing off of the fact that as far as talking goes, not exactly Hager's strong point. I'm sure he would admit to that. I would also like to think he will tell you he's doing his best to get better at it, and it's a work in progress, right? I'm sure he would definitely tell you that, right? But that was hilarious in itself. But what was really golden the most about that Jericho spoof segment, they had Virgil pop up in this joint just randomly. I mean, you're seeing all of these people. You see Chris Jericho's aunt pops up, his aunt cursing, saying Jericho's gonna kick Cody's ass. And you're like, okay, all right, Jericho's aunt, cool. But no, Virgil had the best cameo of all in this whole damn thing. So Virgil was essentially, if you think about it, was playing the role of Diamond Dallas Page. And rather than call him Virgil, they called this man Soul Train Jones. And that was his graphic that appeared on the screen. And right up under, it reads Living Legend. And you're going, get the fuck out of here. But he had the greatest memorable line of the night. He said, it's the one thing about Chris Jericho, man. He's like the breadsticks at Olive Garden. He's unlimited. And you're just going, what the fuck? That was golden. I can't wait for AEW to upload that segment alone on their YouTube channel. Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe last I saw they got a YouTube channel. So I can't wait for them to upload that on there. Because I'm telling you, that's going to get some hits. That's definitely going to get some hits. That was one of the best segments of the night. That was just, wait a minute, say what? But yeah, Virgil's looking good too, man. And Virgil, if you really stop and think about it, he kind of got his wish, because off and on, he has been putting little tweets and stuff out there. Yo, AEW, y'all hiring, give me a holla, what's up? He's been pitching at whoever, right? And you all know the lonely Virgil memes and all that shit you stay seeing of this dude. He just, as far as internet sensations go, as far as what has the wrestling community in agreement, Virgil shit, I mean, his shit is just classic, man. His shit is always memorable. So it was nice seeing him have that nice little spot right there. Good shit. Well produced. For me, that was, as far as segments of the night, not matches, segments of the night. Yeah, that one right there was definitely golden. But see, it also highlighted this for me as well. Voice is kind of coming back a little bit. We might be able to do this a little longer. We'll see. But it highlighted for me just how good Jericho is. Just the creative mind that he has. But most importantly, when you pair him up with the right type of bookers and writing team that gets him, that knows his gimmick, that knows funny and all this other shit, let shit breathe and all that. I mean, I really hope coming up at Full Gear, Jericho's title reign isn't gonna end just after wouldn't this be his technically his first title defense at a major pay-per-view since winning the title? I would hate to see him just go out, after one pay-per-view title defense and he loses it, right? Because I think his record right now is 5-0 or some shit like that. So I would hate to see that. I really, really would, because the possibilities with Jericho as your champion creatively is just endless, especially after the shit that had went down with Sami Callihan on Impact Wrestling this week. Oh, we'll get into that in just a little bit. But yeah, man, some good shit right there. Meanwhile, over on NXT, see, what else was NXT doing over there? NXT had Shayna Baszler taking on Dakota Kai. It was actually a pretty damn good matchup. That actually went into the 5th segment block. Meanwhile, you had AEW counter with Shauna and Rio taking on Sakura and Jamie Hayter. Hayter getting a lot of love. I saw a lot of comparisons to Paige tonight. A lot of comparisons, with the main just was, hey, this girl, and she's going to be as big as Paige. She just won't be having porns and shit running around, you dig? And it's like, well, so we hope. But yeah, there was a lot of us fellas tonight, man, for AEW. The 3 of them girls out of that match, we were really, really digging. Most of us were digging Shauna. We were digging freaking Jamie Hayter. Some people were actually digging Rio, believe it or not. Some people like their women very petite and all that, to each its own. But yeah, majority was us guys. I'm being real with y'all, you all ladies out there. Yeah, most of us guys were drooling over Shauna and Jamie Hayter tonight, right? We honestly could have just saw 3 segments with just the 2 of them and we would have been just fine. But the in-ring action for that tag team on AEW was good. Pretty solid. Enjoyed that one. Switching back to NXT. I'm trying to think. Baszler. Yeah, Baszler had defeated Dakota Kai, and there'd be some serious ramifications as a result of her losing. Now, post-match, we did see Jasmine Duke and Marina Sharif, they came out. You know, they're part of Baszler's stable and everything. They came out, took the fight to Dakota Kai. Everything just spilled out. Mia Yim, Bianca Belair, Candice LeRae, Rhea Ripley. So everybody just nice big old brawl. Remember, these are pretty much the women we're going to be seeing at War Games and everything. Now, cameras would catch up to Rhea Ripley and her team later on. And Rhea Ripley had revealed that as far as who's going to be the final member to make up her team going into that first all-women War Games, it would be Mia Yim. In which she said to Dakota Kai, Dakota, sorry, but you lost your match tonight against Baszler. You know, you kind of dropped the ball there, nothing personal. And Dakota Kai, you see her walk away very disgruntled, admitting, yeah, I did mess up tonight. I did drop the ball tonight. And she walked away pretty upset. There's two ways you could have taken how she was upset. You could have taken it as she's beating herself up. And you could also take at it as disrespect me like this, right? So now you can't help but wonder going into War Games, how much of a factor will Dakota Kai be, if at all, in that all women's War Games matchup? Is she going to make Rhea Ripley and crew pay for not giving her that spot in War Games, right? You can't help but wonder that. So that's kind of something to peep out in the weeks to come there. Meanwhile, over on AEW, Sakura, for that tag match there, she ended up pinning the AEW Women's Champion, Rio. So as a result of that, and I found it very interesting that the color commentators immediately had jumped on this as soon as she pinned her and got the W and everything, which is, hey, does this mean since she pinned the champion and all, does this give her the right to challenge Rio for that AEW Women's Championship? So, you know, you kind of hear that, you're going, well, that would be kind of an interesting matchup, a little bit more balanced, right? But 90 pounds is 90 pounds, give or take. Man, it is what it is. While we're still talking about women's and everything, can we just slide in Brandi Rhodes real quick? So Brandi Rhodes had this interesting pre-produced segment, and she's drinking a glass of, I don't know, maybe it's brandy or Bloody Mary, who knows? And she's sitting on this nice, comfortable leather chair and everything, and she is giving this brief promo, and is basically splicing in images of Awesome Khan looking all menacing and everything. And she says, to those of you that thought I was power hungry, I don't care about the women's division. This was never about me being in charge of the women's division, right? So you're going, okay, so what exactly has this been all about then if it hasn't been about the women's division? And the main gist that you kind of took away from this segment was, for Brandi, it's all about what she and her monster, Awesome Khan, what they're capable of doing and everything, which is wreaking havoc, pain, destruction, you know, on the entire roster. For sure, the women's roster and everything. So, I mean, it was a very weird, very cryptic promo that we saw that just kind of left you scratching your head and wondering a little bit more, just how exactly did you get to this point, Brandi? Like, what exactly made you snap? I just want for things to be consistent. That's all I want. That's all as we fans can ask for, is consistency. And what I mean by that is, if we're going to continue to see Brandi like this, that's fine. But don't show her on a pay-per-view or something like that doing something cool where she's doing a 180. You know, we talked about this last week. You got to watch last week's stream to, you know, really be able to take in what I'm talking about. But I think you guys are pretty damn smart. You know exactly what I'm talking about if you've been watching the inconsistencies with the Brandi Rhodes character as of late, right? Also, going forward, NXT, Tony Nese had this for me. Now, you want to talk about matches of the night for NXT? I definitely got to give the nod to Tony Nese taking on Angel Garza. I'll tell you that off the break, guys. And as far as AEW goes, what was maybe their match of the night? Man, looking at this again, man, Honestly, and I don't think anybody would disagree. Yeah, I don't think anybody would disagree. I would say Pac taking on Beretta. Pac taking on Beretta. Honorable mention, almost a tie. Maybe you could go with the AEW main event where Paige and Omega teamed up to take on Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho. Maybe you could give that a slight honorable mention as well. But for me personally, I would say Trent Beretta versus Pac. That was the match of the night for AEW. NXT's match of the night definitely goes to Tony Nese, Angel Garza. But for NXT, if you want to talk about other honorable mentions, definitely Baszler taking on Dakota Kai. You can't help but put that as an honorable mention. But yeah, Tony Nese and Angel Garza, my God. Go out of your way and watch that match. That was a damn classic encounter. Angel Garza going over big time, had a pretty ass and devastating power bomb. It was a sit down power bomb pin to pick up the W and everything. Him and Tony Nese, their chemistry flowed very, very well together. Very well together. And huge stipulation or ramifications, whatever you want to call it. There were stakes involved in this match. Basically, whoever came out as top dog of this one was going to be going on to face Leo Rush for the Cruiserweight Championship and everything. So Garza coming out of that. I missed a couple of weeks of NXT there. I wasn't even aware that Gulak was no longer the champion, which, hey, damn, is all I can say, right? I need to figure out what episode that was I had missed, because to our credit, I think so far since we've been doing the AEW NXT recaps, I think there's only been maybe one show where we didn't do it for that Wednesday night, but we've pretty much been consistent every other time. So if it went down before NXT made the move to the USA Network, then that's kind of where I might have missed it, because I really did not start watching NXT regularly till they made the move to NXT. I told you guys how I usually operate when it comes to the NXT TakeOver events. That's when I would binge on like their last 4-8 episodes during TakeOver weekend, get caught up to speed that way, so I know the story arcs and all that, and then boom, I can pretty much jump into it that way. But yeah, man, it's a damn good matchup. I just need for Tony Nese to get that chemistry down, man. I just need him to work on that persona a little bit more. I mean, look, the in-ring stuff, that's never been an issue with Tony Nese. And I mean, the look, my God, the fucking look. It's $1 million fucking dollar look right there, man. You can fucking sell the hell out of that. But yeah, the charisma has just been pretty damn bland, man. But the qualities of his matches, never an issue. Never an issue. And Angel Garza, and shout out to, I don't know who the listener was, but I remember on a couple of weeks ago on the show, I mentioned how Angel Garza looked very similar to, I think it was Hector Garza. And the listener had said, "No, you actually were spot on. He is related to that Garza. He actually is." I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Okay, cool." So I don't know who you are that had said that, but shout out to you, buddy. I was like, damn. It was like, he does look literally like the dude. And yeah. Squash match on AEW for your segment 7 block. Brandon Cutler lost to Shawn Spears. I mean, at this point, we just know as soon as we see Brandon Cutler, all right, so who's he putting over? Squash match. I don't even think that match was 3 minutes against Shawn Spears. Give or take. Excuse me there. A little bit of the bubbly. See, also segment 8, go to segment 8, for those of you a little bit confused. Wait a minute, nothing else happened in segment 7, Lee? Segment 7 saw the continuation and the conclusion of the Angel Garza taking on Tony Nese match. Alright, so segment 8, you had a Jon Moxley spot that pretty much set up your Hangman Page and Kenny Omega taking on Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho. Meanwhile, right before your NXT main event match, we saw Dijakovic defeat Isaiah Swerve Scott. They're going to have to do something about that name. That is a fucking tongue twister right there. Isaiah Swerve. You know what? Just drop the Isaiah. Just call him Swerve Scott. I don't understand. What's so hard about that? Just call him Swerve Scott. Not that hard. That was pretty much a squash match. Nothing to really talk about right there. Main event match for AEW. Already told you, Hangman Page, Omega taking on Gravea, Jericho. Main event match for NXT. The OC, Doc Gallows. I always call him Doc Gallows. I don't know why. Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, and AJ Styles. So good main event matches there. Give or take. I actually was flipping the channel through both of these, but sadly I didn't really catch the final moments for each of them. It was kind of like a quick glance as I was getting ready to set up the streams here. As far as maybe who had the better main event match, it kind of felt like a tie for me. I don't know how it felt for some of you guys, but for me at least, it definitely had felt like a tie. Let's talk a little bit about the NXT main event match. Could definitely shed some light on that one. Closing moment. Actually, no. Let's go with the. See, where do we want to go? Do we want to go with the NXT one, or do we want to go with the? Yeah, let's go with the NXT one. I don't mind doing that. Let's go with the NXT one. So OC taking on Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, Tommaso Ciampa at one point during this match. It's a short match, by the way, less than 10 minutes. We had saw AJ Styles, Tommaso Ciampa. There was a great stare down, one-on-one, little breather here where both of these guys were in the middle of the ring. Crowd was eating that up. Yeah, without a doubt, that is a future money-making match right there. I hope you can see that somewhere down the line. That would be honestly a great WrestleMania matchup. Closing moments of this matchup, from what I remember seeing, God, how did this one wrap up anyway? I'm trying to remember. Did the OC win? I'm trying to remember. No, I remember it was a no contest. And it wasn't 7 minutes. The match actually, now that I'm thinking about it a little further, that match almost went 15 minutes. And it was a good no contest that had came about. So closing moments of this one, we had saw Riddle. Riddle had came in the ring inside. Ciampa was connecting with a knee to Styles. Tried to go in for the fairy tale ending, but Finn Balor's music had hit. And that distraction was enough for AJ to connect with the Pele kick. Balor then hits Riddle with the 1916. Styles, meanwhile, is smiling, looking on at Balor as he throws up the too sweet sign. So you're going, oh shit, interesting, okay? Balor points the double guns at him. Styles goes in for the Styles Clash on Tommaso Ciampa, but Adam Cole comes out, super kicks him. He then hits Ciampa with the last shot, and then you just get this stare down as Cole looks on at Balor, and you're kind of left to assume that this match was a no contest. So that's how we kind of get to that conclusion that I was talking about earlier, because there really wasn't an official winner named for this match. So again, a no contest. So now here's where NXT loses a couple of points, and here's where I feel AEW won this week. The whole point in watching this week's NXT, we just saw the NXT roster on SmackDown own the hell out of the boys. And look, people can say to me all they want, yeah, but Lee, with regards to what happened on SmackDown last week, and that was a weekend roster and everything. And look, I don't care. It still is the way it is, right? NXT still came in there, right? To pull a line from Negan on Walking Dead when he was talking to Rick Grimes and everything, making Rick Grimes say, please, thank you, and all that other shit. Remember that infamous line? Rick Grimes had that exchange he had with Negan, and Negan bends down to him and he says some shit like, you just allow me to do XYZ, and you just allowed me to put my dick in your mouth and you thanked me for it. You know, you look it up. It's like one of the most hilarious, infamous lines Negan had with Rick Grimes on The Walking Dead so far, these past couple of seasons. But like, essentially NXT was Negan on SmackDown last Friday, and then they pretty much went Negan again on Raw. So as far as a receipt being cashed, you went into SmackDown under the impression, or correction, you went into NXT tonight with the impression that we were going to be seeing members from the Raw and SmackDown roster getting in some type of retribution, right? I mean, that's great that we had the OC. But, okay, so what? We couldn't go with Andrade? We couldn't do anything with Andrade? We couldn't do anything with Charlotte? We couldn't do anything with Daniel Bryan? Right? We couldn't do anything with Ricochet? I'm just saying, we couldn't do anything with Braun Strowman. It was just really, really weird that NXT owned both of these other shows, and all we got to see as far as an Invasion goes was just 3 guys. Just 3 guys. And what's even more kind of crazy about the whole deal, if there was ever a time for the NXT roster to come together and send the OC crawling back to Monday Night Raw, that final segment, if there was ever a time for the entire male roster to spill out on their ass, if there was ever a time for Triple H to come on out, right? If there was ever a time for, I don't know, Seth freaking Rollins to come on out. You know, this is the same Seth Rollins, God, and I know you guys love when I make fun of Seth Rollins, but this is the same Seth Rollins who we saw Monday night, not his fault, but Monday night storyline.
Oh, gee, guys, I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I don't know what I'm gonna do next, guys. I'm at a crossroads.
And he has that awkward exchange with Triple H, right? He pretty much draws his line in the sand where his allegiance lies. Okay, so he's on the side of Raw. He's going to bring the fight to Triple H and NXT. Okay, cool. Gee, I don't know if there was ever a moment where, hey, and here's a guy that has deep roots, deep connections to NXT. A guy like Seth Rollins leading a pack of other guys to NXT. If there was ever, like, the timing, like, this would have been it. So I find it kind of weird that hopefully, at least the thing that I said with Seth Rollins, hopefully that's gonna go down. Maybe on the go home NXT and setting up Survivor Series, right? You know, if it's a case where WWE didn't want to blow their whole load in one episode in 1 week, I get that, but still, it doesn't get them off the hook for at least taking other key members from the SmackDown and the Raw roster and having them be injected into this week's NXT. So for me, NXT loses points just off of that. So the edge actually goes a bit more to AEW this week from that standpoint. But at the same time, AEW loses a couple of brownie points as well, because despite their main event match, you know, which was a good way to go home and everything like that, you know, you still don't feel that excitement. You still don't feel that intensity to want to come out of your pockets this weekend and pay $50 for this pay-per-view, right? I'll get into that a little bit more in a hot second. So closing moments, and I'm feeling a lot better. So I know I said I was going to end the stream like under an hour or maybe an hour tops, but I'm actually feeling a little bit better. So we can go a couple of more minutes long. If we go in like an hour, 15 minutes, almost an hour 20, I'm okay with that. But if I feel a little bit worse, I'll let you guys know and we'll end the stream a lot sooner. So closing moments of that main event match between Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara there. We had saw Jericho counter the Deadeye, but Page dumps him and then tosses Guevara, and Omega hits the dive, wiping out Guevara and Hager. Because Hager did get involved in this just a little tiny bit there. Page would follow up with the moonsault to the floor. Pac would then arrive, low blows Page. Jericho hits the Judas effect for the W. Jericho, Guevara picking up the win over Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. Post-match, though, we had saw the Inner Circle come out. Then they had attacked until Cody came in, made the save. MJF was attacking Hager and Jericho. Jericho had rolled out, fighting right alongside Cody. Moxley then pops up. He has a barbed wire bat, and he's pointing it at freaking Hangman. No, Kenny Omega. He's pointing it at Kenny Omega and everything. And Omega, he goes outside of the ring, He reaches for his own weapon, so you have a little interesting stare down, but somehow the action follows to the rest of the guys' ramp area and everything. Next thing you know, you had the Santana and Ortiz. They got into the mix. Young Bucks got into the whole mix. It was just a big old spill, as basically you had the Elite and the Inner Circle just facing off, brawling for each other. So pretty much that was your go home in setting up, and it was also essentially your final sale for Saturday's Full Gear pay-per-view and everything, right? So, I mean, it was nice how they wrapped it up and everything, but you really did not feel that extra incentive, to come out of your pocket and want to drop that $50 for this, right? Especially to the fans that just recently saw MLW and they just paid $20 for an almost 3-hour pay-per-view that was fantastic from top to bottom, right? Another thing that was kind of interesting, I thought about this, and I don't know if it was a case where maybe they did not get permission from TNT or if it was just an oversight, but if there was ever a time to also go about promoting TNT, I'm sorry, if there was ever an opportunity to promote Starcast on TNT, I'm a little bit curious how come they didn't do that. Is this their way of trying to make sure that they separate Starcast as much as possible from AEW, since Conrad likes to always say on social media and on shows that Starcast is separate from AEW, even though in a lot of fans' eyes, for a lot of fellow podcasters, they don't see it that way, especially when you look at who predominantly over the years has been essentially making up these Starcast roster events. So especially for this one alone. So it's kind of interesting, the dynamic, when you really stop and you think about it more and everything. But yeah, I mean, I thought what they did tonight to sell Full Gear was so-so. But just look, if you want to talk about match quality, for this week, match qualities this week, I gotta give the edge more so to, let me look here, just looking at the card again. I gotta give the card more to NXT. They've got a lot more matches on the card, quality wise, storytelling and all. Yeah, I gotta give the edge more to NXT. But they lost points on the story thing as far as the invasion goes, so I gotta knock off a couple of points. But putting that to the side, overall, they had the better presentation this week. I'll definitely give them that. They had the better presentation. Whereas AEW, there was only just a couple of bright spots. I mean, like I said, for me, the Trent Beretta-Pac match, definitely loved the Jericho spoof spot on Cody. That was golden shit right there. The women's tag match was okay too. And then the main event match, yeah. So I would definitely give the edge more to NXT. So I want to know what you guys had thought. Who won for you all in y'all's estimation this week? Was it AEW or was it NXT? Sound off on that. Let's talk some more wrestling, man. Got a few more things we could talk about on the show here. Best part I love about doing these shows is when it comes to the webcast, at least, we do the webcast advertiser free. But if you check out the audio on demand on the downloads, we make sure we put the ads in there because we got sponsors we need to recognize. If we do any form of shout out on this one, we'll get into some Patreon shout outs, but that's really essentially it when it's all said and done. So I do want to talk about the MLW Super Fight card. I had watched that finally. Today was my day. I was sick as a dog. I stayed under the covers all day, was drinking plenty of orange juice and everything. And for me, it was nice just kicking back. And all right, let me see what's going on with MLW Super Fight. I got to tell you, for those of you that did not take the opportunity to check out Saturday Night Super Fight, go out of your way, especially if you can order it on your respected cable or satellite provider and get billed later. Pay the $20. You will not be disappointed. Like almost 3 hours of good fucking solid action. I was hooked when I watched the first 2 episodes of MLW a couple of weeks ago. Once I had saw, oh wow, I get BN Sports after all. Whereas originally a few years ago, I want to say definitely last year at least, because I'm with Fios, and maybe Fios customers can fill in the gaps a little bit. But at least a year ago, for sure, I wasn't able to get BN Sports. I had to actually pay extra to get that, because I was trying to see MLW like last year, and I wasn't able to. So one day I'm just, well, let me see what's going on here. Do I get it now? And all of a sudden, now I get BN Sports. So check with your cable satellite provider. It might be a case where you're actually getting it now. But I promise you guys, if you're looking for another alternative to check out, I mean, this is a promotion where Kurt Bauer has been doing and everything with MLW. It's been fucking fantastic, man. The card from top to bottom, I loved it. Just going over the card real quick here. For your pre-show, you had Leo Bryan defeat Savio Vega. Yeah, man, Savio Vega is still at it after all these years. Gino Medina had defeated Airwolf. El Hero de LA Park had defeated Zenshi. Those were your pre-show matches. Contra Unit, which consisted of Simon Gotch and Akuro Kwan, had defeated Dominic Guarini and Douglas James, and the Spirit Squads, Mike Mondo and Ken Dane. It was a 3-way dance. Simon Gotch, I barely recognized him. You should know that name. That name should sound familiar to you guys from the NXT days where he was partnered up with Aiden English and all that. And you know, with regards to Simon Gotch is which one of those vaudevillain guys is married to Shaw Guerrero from Wow Women of Wrestling? I can't quite remember. I don't know if it's Aiden English or if it's Gotch. Can't remember which one it is. But getting back to Simon Gotch, I barely recognized him. He's put on just a tad bit more weight, not in a sloppy way. He just looks more fuller. He doesn't have the trademark mustache that you guys remember, so that'll really throw you off. His hair is completely different as well. Yaz hair is just styled completely different. I barely recognized him. But yeah, he's still throwing it down. Looks pretty good though. You know, hey, way he was moving and everything looks pretty damn good. I know Ken has been doing his thing on the independents as the Spirit Squad for a while now. It's just that unfortunately I haven't been able to see, oh, this is what he's doing. Okay. He looks to be in phenomenal fucking shape. My man is ripped. I mean, he looks to be in the best shape of his entire career. And I know that's kind of hard for you guys hearing that, and you remember him from his WWE days. You actually got to go out of your way and you got to see how he's looking. He is shredded. You ever heard of 6-packs? Well, this man looks like he's got a 12-pack. I mean, this dude is fucking shredded to like no fucking end. Von Erichs, Marshall Von Erich and Ross Von Erich, they defeated the Dynasties, MJF and Richard Holiday. It was in a Texas Tornado match for the MLW World Tag Title. So you got new champions there in the Von Erich. So congrats to them. Been paying attention to them. Fell in love with them big time as a result of, yeah, I actually remember the guys from Impact Wrestling. And I was big fans of them back then and everything. But watching last season's Kerry Von Erich episode on Dark Side of the Ring, and you know, and his sons had popped up on there and everything, I really had enjoyed watching that. I enjoyed watching that. And I did say Kevin Von Erich, right? I hope I didn't say Kerry Von Erich. I did mean Kevin Von Erich and his sons. I'm happy for them. I expect nothing but big things for them to happen for their wrestling careers. Big things. So love watching those guys throw it down. Oh, by the way, I can't remember which one it was. I want to say it is, I think it's Marshall. Let me just look here. I think it's Marshall Von Erich I'm thinking of. I'm not really sure. Whichever one has the blonde hair, he's definitely continuing the tradition of being barefoot when he gets in there in the ring. That's the point that I was trying to make. Injustice, Jordan Oliver, Cotto Brazil, and Myron Reed, they defeated Gringo Loco, Puma King, and Septimo Dragon. It was a 6-man tag team match. Injustice is growing on me. Yeah, I'm looking at them and I can't help but think about what's the team on Impact Wrestling? All they like to do is smoke weed. The Rascals. I kind of look at them. I'm talking about Injustice. I look at Injustice and I kind of think about the Rascals a little bit, just minus the weed gimmick, that 70s show vibe and all that. These guys, the Injustice, I like them in the ring. I really do. They're energetic. They're charismatic. I put some new aligners in, so you got to deal with me. A little rough here. They're charismatic, and they flow very well together in the ring. I'm not that impressed by them when they're talking individually. I remember watching a couple of MLW Fusion episodes, and they were given a chance for some mic time and everything, and still very green, but practice makes perfect. They got to continue to stay at it, but despite that one caveat, I still like them. I still like them a lot. Teddy Hart had defeated Austin Aries to become the new MLW World Middleweight Champion. Great fucking match. Great fucking match. Even more cooler, I like the fact that Austin Aries got rid of that damn hobo beard, because I barely recognized him the few times I had saw him. Tom Lawler defeated Timothy Thatcher. That for me was the match of the night. There's one match I can point out from MLW Super Fight. That's the match. Go out of your way. Check that one out any way you can. Mance Warner defeated Jimmy Havoc and Besta. 666 Stairway to Hell match. I fucking loved it. If you love blood, that's the match for you. You love hardcore matches, I mean like old school hardcore matches, and you love a lot of blood, that's the fucking match for you. Alexander Hammerstone defeated Davey Boy Smith Jr. for the MLW National Openweight Championship. Also, almost forgot about this match. Classic fucking encounter between Low Key and Brian Pillman Jr. Low Key defeating Brian Pillman Jr. That was another good one. And your main event match, no disqualification match for the MLW World Heavyweight Championship. It was LA Park's golden ticket cash-in match. Le Parc losing to Jacob Fatu. And yeah, you know, if you ask me straight up, like who's jumping out to me the most right now from MLW, Selena De La Renta off the break. She is something else as far as a manager goes and everything. I'm liking her, the charisma, everything, and she's still pretty damn young too, man. That's the cool part about her as a character and everything, as a valet / manager, right? I mean, she's very, very young. I think Homegirl, I don't even think Homegirl was 25, right? And she is just, she gets the business. I mean, she's clicking on all fucking cylinders, man. Good shit right there. She jumps out at me the most though. Davey Boy Smith for sure. Definitely Davey Boy Smith. Loving Jimmy Havoc. Hey, Tom Lawler, Timothy Thatcher. I don't know that much about them because I just started watching MLW. It was nice hearing Rich. Oh God, I can't think of the MLW commentators' names right there. It'll come to me in a couple of weeks when I'm watching it more consistently. That's how it goes. I'll start remembering names more and more and more. But the guy that used to be a color commentator for NXT, they were given the history there of Tom Lawler and Timothy Thatcher and everything. So I appreciated that because they definitely jumped out at me the most from the MLW roster. For sure, Brian Pillman, Austin. I like Injustice. I'm very, very big on Injustice. I am. I'm big fans of their Contra Unit as well. I love Contra Unit. But the guy that does all the talking for Contra and Jacob Fatu, whoever that guy is, and I wish I knew his name because I really want to give him a lot of fucking props. That dude is like MLW's Paul Heyman. I mean, he's got a golden fucking tongue. He is almost like fucking Paul Heyman and Bobby the Brain Heenan combined, mixed in maybe with a little bit of Jim Cornette from back in the day. I mean, he has got one sharp ass silver tongue. I love him. He can talk you into a fucking match. He can talk you into a fucking segment. I love everything about that dude. Next time I talk about MLW, I'll definitely be remember his name from then on out. But those of you that know the MLW brand, you know exactly the guy I'm talking about. Yeah, he is some good shit. I can't wait to research on him a little bit more. Maybe I can kind of just have the dialogue talking more a little bit amongst us and everything. You all that know your MLW product, maybe you can educate me and the fans a little further. You know, was this guy a former wrestler? You know, because he kind of looks like, you know, he's a thick boy. He kind of looks like he used to wrestle many times over the years. You know, does he still wrestle? Is he retired? You know, what's going on with him? But yeah, he's damn good as a goddamn mouthpiece. He's got those combinations I had mentioned of Cornette, Heenan, and freaking Heyman, but he's also got like the Briscoes in him as well, right? I don't just mean from the look, not necessarily the look, but also when he talks as well. He's got all of those things mixed up in one. That's a lot of good ass things going on at once. But yeah, MLW Saturday Night Super Fight. Check it out. You guys definitely won't be disappointed. It's the best $20 that you would have spent. I fucking promise you. You will fucking thank me later. Watch the first 2 episodes of Impact Wrestling on Access TV. And we still don't have no ratings yet on how those respected shows did and everything. And look, man, I know that Impact Wrestling, they've got a boatload of views right now because Ken Shamrock had that segment there with Joey Ryan, and the world's most dangerous man had faced the world's most deadliest penis or whatever, and you had that spot that went viral and everything, and that is great for social media. That is great for the memes. That is great for the clicks and all of that other shit. You got legit people, though, that were upset over the fact that Ken Shamrock had reduced himself to even entertaining the idea and being involved in a segment like this. And this was on this past week's Impact Wrestling and everything. And I think this is via Twitter. Yeah, this is via Twitter. Angry Mr. Bungle, he had this to say about Impact. I tried to watch Impact last night. It's pretty bad. Fast forwarded, deleted, and canceled any future recordings. Midnight Club lost a lot of respect for Shamrock. This guy created Kurt Angle's finisher, stood toe to toe with The Rock, was known as one of the baddest men on the planet. Now this is what he's been reduced to. Switch Mafia, I remember when Kurt started using the ankle lock. Back then, I was just waiting for a Shamrock return, right? Other people noted, hey, not for nothing, but Shamrock's been kind of hurting for money over the years, and this was really about whichever wrestling promotion would take him up first, and looks like it was Impact Wrestling, so he's doing what he's got to do, right? Look, unless it's made publicly, like, hey, this person officially have filed for bankruptcy, section blah, 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 blah. You know, check out the information here and all like that. I hate prying. You know, but if it is true that the man has been hurting for money and ultimately this is why we're seeing him back in pro wrestling, ultimately this is why he is in Impact Wrestling as opposed to WWE or some other promotions. I mean, look, my take on Ken Shamrock in Impact Wrestling this go round, my verdict is still out. It's still out. I feel as though I just need to wait and get at least about 2-3 months of bookings of Shamrock in Impact to really be able to see, okay, where are we going with Ken Shamrock here? I can tell you this much for first impressions from afar. I was under the impression that with Ken Shamrock coming back, taking on moves at Bound for Glory and everything, I thought the direction ultimately, like the aftermath of it, I thought it was going to be a case where Shamrock would say, okay, well, hey, doing this match, you know, you all being so kind to me throughout social media, you know, really letting me know that, hey, I actually do still have it. I still have what it takes to be a success in this business after all these years away and everything. And I've been kind of thinking about my future and everything. And I tell you what, as far as what's next for me, I'm not stopping right now. I'm not stopping until I become your Impact World Heavyweight Champion. I was expecting that to happen. I was not expecting for Mr. Penis himself, Joey Ryan, was not expecting that. If you maybe wanted to throw at me Michael Elgin, okay, I'm listening. I'm all ears for that. Michael Elgin, yeah, sign me up for that. Or if you wanted to hold off Ken Shamrock until after Brian Cage faces Sami Callihan for the rematch for the Impact title, and maybe Brian Cage, Ken Shamrock, oh, fuck yeah, sign me up for that too. I'm all over that. But, okay, you go from Moose, right? And at least you could look at Moose and be like, athlete. I'm just talking about storyline. I'm not taking shots at Joey Ryan or anything like that. Even though, Joey Ryan is very sensitive, man. If you don't agree with that whole dick gimmick of his and everything, and you make jokes, or you just don't agree with it, he's very salty. He is on a blocking spree, and I've always been consistent with how I felt about that dick gimmick, and I'll say it again. I don't particularly care for it. I don't find it entertaining. But God bless the man. He's able to carve in a little niche for himself in the wrestling business, and he's able to find an audience that does like that type of stuff, that are even willing to pay money to touch his junk. Okay? So, hey, much as I don't understand it, I try to understand it. I don't understand it. I don't have a fucking heart attack like Jim Cornette does. But, it's like, I don't understand it. But the last thing I'm going to do is shit on it and shit on the people that do like it. Because we all like different things, right? That's what makes this world go round, right? So I can respect it from a business standpoint, because he's got people talking. People are coming out of their pockets for it. It's got just buzz on social media, forums, memes, GIFs, all that shit. So I can't really knock it like that, right? If it don't make dollars, it don't make that sense, that common sense, I always say. So, but yeah, I was kind of expecting for him to, after Moose, go into one of those feuds. And, I'm glad that now the Joey Ryan thing is pretty much, it would appear, one and done. Okay, so what's next for Ken Shamrock? And hopefully it's literally what I just said a couple of minutes ago, that what is next for him is he's going to become not become, but that actually would be cool. If he becomes a Impact champion, that's fine. But the next chapter for his career needs to kind of be similar to Bill Goldberg, right? I think. I mean, would you all agree? Would you maybe like to entertain seeing a Ken Shamrock fighting and trying to become a Impact World Champion once again? I think it would help out. I mean, he looks to be in phenomenal shape too. I got to give him props for that. Much older in the face. I mean, he's always looked older in the face. Even when you go back to the Attitude Era days, he always looked older, right? But now he looks even much older in the face and everything. That body has held up pretty damn well, though. But yeah, I think with Ken Shamrock being with Impact Wrestling, nothing but a lot of good can come from it if they continue to do smart booking with him. Another thing that jumped out at me from Impact Wrestling, I see that Taya Valkyrie is now playing the cat and mouse game with Jordynne Grace, as Jordynne Grace wants her shot now at the Knockouts Championship, but Taya Valkyrie seems to be dodging her every chance she gets. This week, dodging her by saying, oh, I have a match already for the title. I'm taking on Madison Rayne. Bye-bye. Taya Valkyrie just barely getting out of that matchup to retain her title, by the way. So we got Jordynne Grace now on the hunt to become the Knockouts champion. I'm loving that. I think that's been a long time coming and everything. Give it to the girl already. She has been nothing but a true professional. And she's still relatively young at that as well. But she has been a true professional. When all of the silly little stories have broke out about Impact Wrestling and financial troubles and blah this and blah that. She has constantly been a professional. She had an opportunity to roll out. She did not. She continued to hang in there with Impact. Yes, you got to reward her for being loyal, but you also got to reward her for the quality of the work that she continues to put in and out of that ring. And what a great commodity she is for other wrestling promotions. Every fucking time you turn around, she keeps being announced for something on social media and everything, as far as, hey, catch me at this promotion, blah, 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 blah. So you got to capitalize on that type of shit. You got to. So, yeah, Jordynne Grace as a future Impact World Champion, or Knockouts Champion, rather. Hey, she could be a Impact World Champion as well. I'm down with that. Sami Callihan, your new Impact World Champion. Loving that. I can't say anything bad about that. I like that Impact Upper Brass had taken their time with Sami Callihan and trying to really fill out this story arc with Sami Callihan getting to the Impact Championship and flushing it out in a way that felt as most natural as possible. Because, I mean, my God, for the longest time, people have been wanting to see Sami Callihan as the champion for the longest time, right? So I love the fact that Impact Upper Brass really just, we're going to take our time with this one. We're going to milk this for all it's worth and everything. And there's going to be a rematch between Sami Callihan and Brian Cage. I want to tell you guys a little bit about when that match is going to be coming up. And if I'm not mistaken, it's actually going to be happening, I want to say this weekend. It kind of feels like. Let's see here. Looking at when their next one is. Looking at the card here. Well, I see that Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill, that's the actual name of a pay-per-view? Goddamn. Hard to Kill is going to be coming up in January 2020, but there's something else that's supposed to be happening. Let me see if I can actually pull this up real quick. I'll just say rematch, and it should be able to give it to me that way. Let's see. I might have it. Yeah, I don't have it. There's a pay-per-view that is supposed to be coming up by Impact, and it involves Impact Plus, where you guys can actually check it out and everything. But Brian Cage and Sami Callihan are actually supposed to be at it again. Maybe it's on the Impact Wrestling website. Let me try that real quick, guys. And if I can't find it, I'll just say fuck it. But I should be able to. Let me look here. Nope. Turning Point. That's what it is. So Impact Plus, yeah, Turning Point. It's streaming live this Saturday. And the matches that they got so far for Turning Point, we just told you. And it's going to be in Hazleton, PA. For those of you that's going to be in the PA area. Hazleton, PA at the Holy Family Academy Arena. Sami Callihan defends the Impact World Championship against Brian Cage. You also got Rhino taking on RVD. I'm loving this new demeanor by RVD, by the way. I'm loving him cutting these promos and he's going, hey, who'd you all learn how to do those kicks and flips and frog splashes from? He is being very egotistical now. I'm loving that while he's got the beautiful Chloe Harts in the background and everything. I'm loving that. But this is a grudge match that RVD is going to be having against Rhino. Looking forward to that. Taya Valkyrie is going to be facing Tenille Dashwood. That should be pretty good. Doesn't look like that's going to be for the Knockouts Championship either. I don't see any graphics for that. I just see the graphic for these girls facing each other. Ace Austin is going to be taking on Jake Crist for the Impact X Division Championship. The North will be taking on Swan and Willie Mack. It's going to be for the Impact World Tag Team titles. Oh man, that should be a damn good one. And we got Falabala. Falabala is going to be taking on Moose. And that's your card for Turning Point live this Saturday. So for those of you that have not checked out Impact Plus before, you can subscribe to it. You actually get yourself a 30-day trial. Yes, you actually get yourself a 30-day trial. And it looks like as part of that 30-day trial, you'll be able to check out the Turning Point event that way. So that's kind of cool to know, right? So good shit right there. Also, other than that, I'm trying to think if there's anything else from Impact Wrestling that kind of jumped out at me. Some key arcs or whatnot. I think those are really the key points. I see my girl Tessa Blanchard is still throwing it down. She is still jockeying to be in a position where she could get a shot at the Impact World Championship. Seems like she still has that chip on her shoulders with Sami Callihan and everything. Some unresolved business right there. So that's good. I love the consistency that I'm seeing from that. Impact, though, if you ask me, like, if the feel is different at all from what they were doing on Pursuit and what they were doing on Twitch, no. If anything, that same level of energy, that same level of creativity, everything that they were doing with the Twitch/Pursuit version of their show is still the same on Access TV. Nothing has changed whatsoever, and that's good. That is good, quite honestly. I'm loving my man Sami Callihan, though, man. I'm telling you, seeing his rebuttal to freaking Jericho and shit about the bubbly, real men drinking beer, not that bubbly shit like a bunch of bitches. I love that. I ate that shit up big time. Let's see. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else we need to get into. I did see a couple of other news items that kind of jumped out at me a little bit. One thing that I thought was pretty interesting was the ratings for the WWE backstage show with Renee Young and them. It did like 55,000 viewers. So horrible, just horrible numbers there. And if you ask me straight up, Wooly, what do you think the problem is? Like, not that you would make an excuse for a WWE show on FS1, but if there's anything you can kind of point out, what do you think is the issue? Well, correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't record it, but correct me if I'm wrong. Does WWE Backstage come on at like 11 o'clock on FS1? Because if it's coming on at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night on a Tuesday night, that could be a problem for you right there. Because as long as I've been watching the FS1 shows, pretty much from like freaking 6:30 in the morning through 9:30 in the morning. Matter of fact, I mean, we can actually pull up FS1 right now for you guys. And I can tell you how their Monday through Friday lineup pretty much is and everything. So let me actually pull this up right here. And I should have an episode still saved on the DVR here. Let me just go back. And if not, and it doesn't look like it do, I'll just go to scheduled recordings and I'll be able to find it that way. Alright, so bear with me a second here, guys. First things first. There we go. 583. Okay. And I don't know what's going on with Chris Carter, man. Your guess is as good as mine for those of you that watch a lot of those shows. I'm reading what you guys are reading. I'm waiting patiently for Chris Carter to say something about his future on FS1, man. But yeah. Okay, so 6:30 in the morning. We got First Things First. That goes up until 9:30 in the morning. Then you get Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. Then you get The Herd with Colin Coward. You get Speak for Yourself with Jason Whitlock and Marcellus Wiley. Lock It In at 4:30. Fair Game with Christine Lee. That's about 30 minutes, 5:30. Okay, and then you get yourself some NASCAR. U.S. National Team pregame. Okay, you got women's soccer. Okay. And then it looks like you've got a 9:30 p.m. encore of WWE Backstage. And I'm just curious, as far as upcoming shows go, let's just see when the next new one comes on. Because I think the new ones are every Tuesday. Yeah, that's your problem right there. You're going to have this premiere on FS1 at 11 o'clock at night on a Tuesday. Yeah, you can forget about that. The only way you're going to have people that are going to be watching that, you got to be announcing some big names beforehand. And like the time to do that, you need to be making announcements on SmackDown and on Raw to set up that Tuesday show for why fans need to check it out. Now, to their credit, I think maybe they had made an announcement as far as who was going to be on the first WWE Backstage on its new night and time and everything on FS1. But, you know, fans that are clamoring once again, ha ha ha, look at that show, it failed, blah, 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 blah. Here is another case where you got to educate them on the shows that are typically on FS1, particularly during that block of time and everything. I'm not making excuses. I'm just being for real. All those shows that I just mentioned that come on early in the morning into the afternoon, like late evening, all those shows, I mean, they're typically, like I said a couple of weeks ago, they're averaging anywhere from like 100,000 viewers to, like, if they're lucky, maybe about 175K viewers, right? That's like per episode that each show respectfully kind of puts out there, right? So unless you've got like a major sporting event that's on or some shit like that, you know, unless you're doing something of that type of magnitude, trying to have people stick around for a show on a Tuesday night at 11 o'clock at night, yeah, the odds of that happening, I mean, 55,000, that's a pretty decent number, but it doesn't justify that show. That's the bottom line. It doesn't justify that show right now. So unless they start doing a major overhaul and working with Fox and really doing a full court blitz and promoting the hell out of WWE Backstage and announcing beforehand, like, soon as they know who the guest is going to be for Backstage, they need to make the announcement on SmackDown, let it continue on Monday, and they're going to need to like go in with some heavy names for these next couple of weeks, and maybe that will kind of help. And then sadly, if it doesn't help, then I'm telling you what, those numbers continue to go further down. That show may be short-lived. It's very well possible that show may be short-lived, but I'm not really tripping over their numbers right now. I'm not, because you're talking about a network that, as far as new original programming goes, they're still relatively new at this. And I think for those thinking that this FS1 show is gonna, like, I think that's probably not gonna happen for at least 3 to 6 months. I think Fox is gonna try to do everything in its power to make this show on FS1 be a success and try to give it every single opportunity from a PR standpoint, marketing and all that. I think they're going to do everything they possibly can to make it happen. But as far as any cuts going down, I'm not expecting that to happen, like I said, for at least another 3 to 6 months. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. And also AEW, just kind of going back to them one more time. AEW, they made an announcement that for their anniversary episode of Dynamite coming up on January 8th. Yeah, some of you guys are probably like, wait a minute, say what? All right, so AEW, they announced on social media that they're doing a special anniversary episode of Dynamite on January 8th. And it's not necessarily an anniversary episode of AEW Dynamite, but it's basically recognizing the anniversary of the announcement of AEW's formation. So that's what's going to make that show special. It's going to be airing live from the Landers Center in South Haven, Mississippi. And this comes after the announcement of a special homecoming episode on January 1st that was revealed last week. So tickets for that January 8th show is going to go on sale this Friday, November the 8th at noon Eastern, 11 Central. Get tickets at AEWTix.com. Again, you can get tickets at AEWTix.com. Tickets go on sale this Friday, November 8th. Tickets start at $20. Again, tickets start at $20. So you can't beat that. Good shit right there. And lastly, let's see, what else here? Let me see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm going to get into here. Yeah, actually, Ring of Honor, they're set to air on Sinclair Regional Broadcast Networks. I don't know how many of you guys had heard about that, but they're going to be airing they're going to be now airing at midnight in applicable time zones for wrestling fans who receive any of the 21 RSNs that Sinclair acquired earlier this year, and on Marquee when it launches in early 2020. So basically what that means in a nutshell, you're going to have even more opportunities to check out Ring of Honor. But the question is, will fans be watching? You know, that's the real question, because all of the mismanagement that's been going on, we talked about what Joey Mercury had said on Monday's show and everything. You know, will more fans be watching? That's the real question you can't help but wonder right there, right? So, interesting shit right there. Other than that, I saw that Seth Rollins, and I'll give him a little bit of a nod, for sure. I'll give him a little bit of a nod. Seth Rollins had denied a report that had came out by Dave Meltzer yesterday about this described rah-rah rally speech during a talent meeting in WWE. And the report had alleged that Rollins was trying to act like a locker room leader, so to speak, and everything, right? The report had alleged that Rollins told the talent to keep their complaints about things like the travel delay from Saudi Arabia off of social media. Rollins had said things like that did not happen, and he called out specifically Dave Meltzer for this report. And Dave Meltzer, he tried to apologize and everything like that, but, damage is done. Yeah, Seth Rollins, he did this interview with Fightful, and Seth had said, and I'm quoting here, Vince McMahon and Triple H held an all-talent meeting to explain the travel situation returning from Crown Jewel. They commended the talent for their conduct in a tough spot and fielded questions and allowed anyone to voice their feelings on the matter. Some talent spoke up, and overall it was a productive forum. I said 0 words. I made no speech. Pretty simple. And Fightful went on to report that other WWE talents confirmed why the meeting happened, but denied some of the details, such as Randy Orton allegedly making a joke to lighten the mood. One source said AJ, Rusev, and Carl spoke up. Seth didn't say anything, neither did Randy, joke or otherwise. Nothing to say, laugh out loud. We were told everything out there was rumors. Another added, no one said anything dumb. Opposite, actually, weird meeting, but no one acted up. So, this kind of revisits a little bit of something we were talking about on Monday night, which is basically, don't take everything that you see and hear as truth. Don't take everything you see and hear and try to cash that bad boy, because a lot of what you see, read, and hear is hearsay. And that's why it's very important that you try to look from all of that stuff that you hear from podcasts, that you read on the dirt sheets. That's why it's very important you look at all of that and you try to take that as a grain of salt, and you really look at things as neutral, as unbiased as humanly possible. Sadly, you're not going to see a lot of websites, and I appreciate Dave Meltzer. Yeah, he's getting his 15 minutes of jokes right now because everybody's making fun of him and everything. But when it's all said and done, and I would like to believe with the respected sources that Meltzer has been able to make over the years, I would like to believe that the intel he was given, hey, they probably never failed him before in the past. And he felt he could report what he was reporting and everything, but no, it didn't go down like that this go around. Sometimes that hearsay can really just come back to bite you in the ass and everything. And I just think it's so weird that we still got people, even all these days later, even though AJ has spoke out, other people have spoke out. Yeah, there was no scandal. There was nothing weird that was going down. There was no hostage situation. You see this deal that was announced between WWE and Saudi Arabia announcing their partnership and everything. And now, instead of it being 10 years, now it's going to 2027. Well, if there's issues, why are you? And I wouldn't look at that as hush money in any type of way. So I'm like this, if it was that bad for the employees and all of this other shit, like, you think that many people are going to be silent? If there was really some type of an issue, some type of a diplomatic issue or hostage situation, whatever the fuck, all these weird conspiracy theories that's being put out there, if that shit was really on the up and up, there's only but so many people you can fucking pay to try to be silent. Sooner or later, somebody officially currently active in the WWE that we see on TV every single week and all that other shit, somebody's gonna be fucking vocal. So shout out to Randy Orton. Randy Orton had revealed he re-upped his deal with the WWE. So for those of you thinking he was going to be AEW bound, no, he's staying right where he is for now. So take it, love it, love it, love it, and love it. And that's all we got to say about that. All right, so I'm glad we ended up doing the show a lot longer, because I usually feel bad when we wrap it up way too early, but I ended up feeling a little bit better. So I'm going to actually end the stream now on a good note and tell you all at this point, your next edition of the RCWR show is going to be coming at you guys live this Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern after SmackDown goes off the air. We'll be live on Spreaker and our Discord, YouTube as well. Real quick, by the way, we have a special contest that's going on. If you missed it, make sure if you got Twitter, and if you don't have Twitter, go on the Facebook page. We give you an alternative. But if you got Twitter, it mainly applies to Twitter. So we've hooked up with the good people over at Fight TV, and we are doing a special prize giveaway. The prize giveaway, we're giving away one code to a lucky person. That code will give you access to all of the Starcade shows that's going to be happening this weekend. You'll be able to watch every single thing Starcast related, minus the AEW Full Gear pay-per-view. You got to pay for that separate. But as far as all of the Starcade shows leading up to that AEW pay-per-view, you'll be able to watch all of that for free with a special code. So we've partnered up with them once again to make this happen for you guys. Now, if you want to take part in that contest, very easy. All you have to do is follow the RCWR Show on Twitter at the RCWR Show. You should also be following the show on Instagram, Facebook as well at the RCWR Show. But for this contest, we're specifically talking about follow the RCWR Show on Twitter. Make sure you like and or retweet the posts. Do both. Appreciate that. And leave a comment letting me know who is your vote for Wrestler of the Year for 2019. And I wasn't able to get this in the tweet, but all of you all that are casting your votes on who is Wrestler of the Year for 2019, that's going to be in a special category for our year-end awards edition of the RCWR Show, where you, the fans, you pick in certain categories. So don't think you're just casting your vote just to be casting your vote just to look cool. Your vote is actually being tallied towards the year-end awards edition shows. So got a nice amount of votes that have been coming in so far, and I'm liking all the different responses that I've been seeing. One had me raise an eyebrow going, really? Well, what the hell has he been doing in 2019? I won't say the name because some of you guys will be like, it should be obvious when you just look at that tweet and you see the names. The names should really jump out to you. You'll go, wait, what? He hasn't done that much in 2019. Like, what the hell? So it kind of shows the greenness, if you will, of one listener that cast their vote there. So really, really think about who's getting your vote there as you're commenting. All right, that's all I can say. That's all I can say. All right, but yeah, that is gonna do it. All right, so for those of you that's gonna be waiting for the audio version of this, I won't be mixing this until Thursday evening after I get in from work. By the way, shout out to our Patreon members. Shout out to Justin Repstock, Shout out to Freddie. I'd say it louder like I usually do, but voice is weakening, my friend. Shout out to Anthony Missionary Thomas from Wrestling Soup. Shout out to Michael Wolf. Shout out to John Davis. Shout out to Tony Bing Gaming. Shout out to Joe Raymond Jr. Shout out to John Krauser. I don't think I'm missing anybody else. Shout out to all of our awesome Patreon members. Patreon.com/RCWR Show. Check out bonus audio video content you won't be able to find anywhere else. And as always, I appreciate you guys checking out the show, be it live or on demand and on the downloads. It means a lot. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, all that good jazz, and appreciate your feedback as always. That's going to do it. Thank you so much for bearing with me and my weak voice. I'm going to crawl back under the bed now and enjoy my NyQuil, watch the news, and go to sleep. Ooh, hopefully I'll be much better sounding when Friday rolls around for that SmackDown recap show. Until next go around, wishing all y'all to be safe, be kind to one another. I'll see y'all next go around. Y'all do take